That's fine. Well, all I'll say is, yeah, I will open it up with a quick thing. Yoki and I talked numerous times during the season just about we wanted to put it to the back burner, and I think rightfully so. She needed some time after the season, and what I will say though is, this is an iconic time in women's athletics, and I think that we're coming off a year where there were more eyeballs on women's sports than ever before. We're coming off an NCAA tournament where the attendance numbers were through the roof for all of the, not all, but most of the 16 teams that hosted. We saw that here in Manhattan with phenomenal response to the tournament being here, and then that carried on throughout the tournament with the excitement that we saw with the championship game. So I think Yoki's one of those players that going into next year that will have an opportunity to be the face of women's basketball. Certainly you look at Beckers and you look at Juju Watkins, and I think that there's Yoki's certainly in that category of that next potential player that players. I think there'll be a lot of others that can help with that for women's college athletics. So I'm excited about that, and selfishly, I'm thrilled that she's back at Kansas State. All right, questions?
Yoki, I'd like to hear your response to what Coach just said about the potential of maybe becoming the face of women's college basketball, K-State becoming potentially a face of women's college basketball.
Yeah, I think it's exciting just where the women's game is at. I think it's exciting where women's basketball is at in Manhattan, and just, what we've been able to build this year. I think, I've never really been one to just talk the talk. I kind of just let, my game speak for itself. So I think in that case, it's the same thing. That's going to come if we do the work. That's going to come if I do the work. So really just focusing more on that instead of the big picture is probably, where my mind goes. Yeah.
Yoki, by the time you're
Yeah.
done here, where will you be academically? What?
Yeah, that's a great question. My clinic director actually asked me yesterday if I wanted to start a PhD, and I was like, no. Yeah, so I'm graduating with my master's in about a month. Yeah, so thinking about a certificate, thinking about just maybe just doing some classes and just having fun, taking a year to just do what a lot of student athletes do and just take some fun classes. But yeah, we'll see where it ends up. But I already have a bachelor's and I'll have a master's in about a month. And yeah, so thankful from that standpoint for sure.
What all went into the decision, or how difficult was it to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always good to have options, so I knew there wasn't really a bad decision when I was kind of going through all my options. Had to think of some just life and adult things, as you do once you get to kind of your mid-20s. But yeah, just really, there's a lot of goals we didn't accomplish this year that we wanted to, so just having the opportunity to come back and have, another chance to do those was a big part of the decision too.
When did you decide, and then how did you tell your teammates?
Yeah, so let me think. Today's Tuesday. I think I kind of knew maybe last week I was talking to some of my closer friends I think this is what I'm gonna do, but I still have a meeting or a few meetings just with career wise stuff to get me still making strides forward in that area, that I was gonna wait till after I had those to tell Coach Mittie.
I'm kind of mad right now, but that's great.
Yeah, just because you
coach,
never
just
know.
Go ahead and add.
Yeah, you never know if
I didn't
anything's
find
gonna
out till
change.
Sunday, just so.
Yeah, but we had met Sunday and just kind of talked through things and from just a standpoint of, March Madness finishing up and like where we're at kind of in the realm of Manhattan with basketball. It was a good day is what he told me, and I said, okay. And so I called him that evening. And then I texted Beck and Gabby first, and I was like, I loved our senior night so much. I just wanted to have another. And then my teammates, I was just like, I think we need to get a conference championship. And it was fun. They were, like, don't mess with me. I was like, I'm not. So, yeah.
The funny thing about in talking about things that go into the decision, obviously with summer workouts and those kind of things, as you have players that it's different now in college athletics with just the summers. They're all different. We have foreign players that go back and play for their national teams. You have players that it's almost gone back to how it was 15 years ago when players had jobs. She's in that category of doing kind of her. So it's different. It's different because you go back 15 years ago, we scheduled our summers around summer jobs, summer intern programs, summer things. And I think with her situation, she'll have some great opportunities professionally to work on this summer. She'll have some great opportunities basketball-wise to have her first. Well, it's crazy to say this, but I don't think she's had in 3 or 4 years a summer where she wasn't rehabbing to play basketball. This summer she'll be able to, hone in on working on her game a little bit differently than hopefully not in the training room.
Sure.
So just all the above will be. We had a lot to talk about kind of, I think, through the process of how that would work. But Yoki's always been really good about just having those discussions and kind of seeing the big picture of them.
When you were making your decision, was it between play here or moving on to your professional life? Was it the WNBA?
It was. So, professionally, career here. And, there's deadlines for the draft and stuff. So, not knowing once that deadline came up kind of eliminated that option. And then so it was between, starting my career and coming back playing overseas. But this was, just what ended up on top.
Is that something you still want to pursue, basketball after?
We're going to come back to that after college. Yeah.
So basketball-wise, what would you say really drives you into next season?
Yeah, I think my teammates are a big part of it. I think, you're not going to go to every school and just have great relationships with all your teammates. So I think that's really a big part of it. And then just coming off the year we had, like, we're capable of, winning a conference title and things like that, and not being able to do that was, like, frustrating this year. So that's also another big one.
Jeff, you talked about her health. It's great that she's has the whole summer in front of her, but next year, do you find yourself maybe thinking about load management with her or something?
We discussed that. That was something that we discussed. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why, we wanted to get better depth along the front line. We did discuss in the non-con that, taking a look at the schedule when we get that finalized to say, hey, maybe here's a spot that we pick. We did some of that this year from a 20 minutes at a time, certainly early in the year. We didn't try to play her too much. Yoki's competitive, though, so every time I brought load management up, she exceeded it occasionally. And so I think it's going to be something that we do take a look at. Yeah, I don't think she has any restrictions, but I think in being smart with that. And also, the development piece for us can be huge, too, because players along that front line, like an Amani Lester, who we hope is healthy as well, they can get extra minutes as there. So we did talk about that.
Yeah. Let me just
You want to tell them the name first?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bram, yeah. It's a.
I'm sorry. It's a little dramatic. This is Bram. He's a Bernedoodle, standard Bernedoodle, so he'll get pretty big. His birthday's on Christmas.
Yeah, that was also part of the agreement that Bram could attend all practices and press conferences
Well,
going.
if you say so. Yeah.
You know, Coach mentioned it, but was growing the sport of women's basketball and your impact that you can have on that, did that weigh in your decision?
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a like added bonus, you know. Yeah, I'm not like huge on making like emotional decisions or decisions just on like, oh well, everyone else is doing it. So, but no, I think that's definitely just very powerful and will have just a huge impact on the community and just women's basketball as a whole. Yeah.
Did the way that the season ended, sour ending at home, did that fuel you to want to come back at all?
I mean, not like yes and no. I don't think in a way of like, oh, like I need my last home game to be a win, you know, because that's like never promised. And if we wouldn't have hosted, it wouldn't have been, we wouldn't have had that opportunity either. So, I mean, I'm excited to play in Bramlage again, but I wouldn't say that was like a huge like determining factor. Yeah.
With, you know, players like Taylor Clark and Dory,
Yeah.
they're declaring for the WNBA draft.
Yeah.
Did that affect your decision? Did you communicate with any players?
Yeah.
Your
I mean, I talked to some of my like old teammates, like Peyton, just about kind of like her experience overseas and just like that stuff. Not really in terms of like players like who have just declared. Just because, I mean, like Coach Mittie said, I just think I'm unique in that I have a lot of things outside of basketball that I'm passionate about and that like I have as options. So, yeah.
Coach, with you came back just been a couple of days, but how does that affect transfer portal, recruiting, all of that?
Yeah, I think that we're still looking at the portal to see if there's a right fit for us going forward, and I think that the reality of it is it's a positive in the portal. People want to play on winning teams. They want to play on teams. You know, I think there's been 2 or 3 postseason polls that have come out. You know, we ended the year in the AP poll. We showed up in, I think, the Athletic top 10. Is that right, Randy? Number 10. We showed up in the ESPN early top 25 poll at 17. So those are all real positives. I think Ayoka returning adds to that, and we'll look for a player that wants to play with a team that has some momentum going into next year. And we saw that help us with Gabby Gregory. You know, Gabby has been very open about saying that she wanted to play with Ayoka, so we'll look for the right fit there. I like our roster. We haven't brought the team back for workouts yet, but there's a good group of them in there working, and there's a good group in there working, and that's been, like I said all year, that's been their DNA. We're not coming back till next Monday, and one of the reasons we're not coming back till next Monday is because this team has worked, and so we'll look for. I do think there are some people in the portal though that can help us, and we'll certainly see if it's the right fit for them and us.
Can you tell us about Kennedy Taylor and that process with her?
Yeah, you know, one of the things about Kennedy that we really liked was we need to get more depth. We lost Heavenly Greer to the portal. We needed to add more depth. You mentioned the load management. We needed somebody that we felt like could alleviate some of the minutes off of Ayoka. More physical. We wanted a physical, strong rebounder. You look at Kennedy's numbers. This is one of the better offensive rebounders, not just in her league, but in the country. Averaged almost 4 a game. And I think she brings a lot of what we need.
Is recruiting in the portal as grueling as it's reported as on the men's side?
Well, it is in the sense that imagine getting 700, 800, 900 to 1,000 opportunities to look at, and you don't want to miss one of them that might be the best fit. So we sit here as a staff. We've got a meeting at 1 o'clock, and it's portal meeting. And from that, you go from, I mean, I just spend all my day on film. All my day on film, because obviously I have to evaluate that player to say if I like it or I think it's the right fit. Then we go to the next phase of, is it a fit academically? Is it a fit? So it is. Now, I would say that some you already know. It's an obvious, right? They're the obvious ones, but then there's the ones that you got to take a deeper dive into. And we've been very particular in the portal because we've wanted it to be not only the great basketball fit, but the right fit for us in terms of the locker room and all those. But generally, we've already had relationships with those players. Staff knew them. I knew them. We recruited them before. So every year's a little bit different. But yeah, it definitely is time consuming, and it's just part of our world. The last, and I don't think it's going away. So it just is going to be the way it is.
Yoki, I was wondering about, has NIL maybe given you more options as far as staying and making it more possible to maybe stay an extra year?
Yeah, no, I definitely that's been I think a big positive of coming back, and like our collective has done a great job just like finding opportunities and stuff. So yeah, I think that is definitely an added bonus for sure.
There'll be a pretty big age gap between you and the freshmen. What's that like when you think about that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. I think, hopefully they see it as an opportunity to learn from someone who's been here so long and been successful. But also, I think just being able to just like relate to them and just, help them out and be a good leader is also an opportunity for me. And I think it just will strengthen our team culture at the end of the day.
Having a player like you for 7 years in your program. How important is that?
That was one of the things we talked about just kind of in general is that I'll tie the two together. The NIL opportunities now, let's be honest, it makes it more professional. And when you're a pro, you've got a Diana Taurasi who's 41, 42 years old with a 21-year-old now. Obviously, we don't have that age gap, but the NIL opportunities in the COVID year, this will be the last COVID year, so you're going to have a lot of these veterans that can help guide for an 18-year-old, and I think that's a real positive for our game. I think it's been it was talked a little bit about, but the COVID year has been a real positive for women's basketball in that we have had some star brands play and have been really, really good. I mean, 18.7 million watched the championship. Those are real numbers. Those aren't manufactured numbers. Those aren't numbers to make people feel good. Those are numbers that are going to drive money to women's sports. And I think going into next year, the entire sport has a great opportunity ahead of it, and to have Yoki in our locker room helping with our current players and helping with our transfer players, I think will be a real net positive for us. I know it will be for us. I mean, she's been a great player for us, but she's been a great leader in the locker room, and all those things I think will be really, really positive.
Can you flash us back to when you first started recruiting Yoki?
I do. What's funny is well, Yoki played on a small AAU team. This was not a team that traveled a lot. I remember I jokingly tell people that I watched her on court 77 in Chicago, but I don't think that's a joke.
Probably 108.
It was, and I think I was like the only coach at that court at the time because she played with her high school team, and it was a small high school team, but loved her hands, loved her footwork, and what you weren't sure of was just simply like any center or any particularly that position, when you get here, the physicality and the adjustment that you make playing against like-sized players. That's your biggest question mark, because they don't play against, that's every center that you recruit. What I will say is that when she got cleared, I guess it was probably early February or something, to start doing some individual work. We put her up against Peyton, and you could tell that she understood it, she got it, she adjusted quickly. So anyways, I didn't have to re-recruit her this time around, to come back. I just had to, just listen to her and just kind of have discussions about the pros and the cons. And she's obviously really intelligent with making those decisions. It's also why it took a little bit of time, I think, for her to get away from the emotion of the season. So to get away from the emotion of the season and make that decision, I didn't have to re-recruit her. I'll have a discussion with her that she knew a week ago and didn't tell me till Sunday. But
Do you recall just the emotions when you got that call?
Yeah.
She was going to come back, and did you think that maybe she'd play her last game at K-State?
That's a good question. I don't think I allowed myself to go to that place. I don't think I did. I think that much like her, I wanted to get away from the last game, and I think the only thing that I talked to her about, we had coffee one morning and we just kind of discussed things, and I just wanted to listen to her and see if there was, some things that concerned her, and, we had another conversation after that. Then I went to the Final Four, and when I came back, I just, I texted her, said, hey, let's sit down, and we just kind of talked about. So I guess I didn't really go to that. I didn't know. I think that if she had decided that, then I think I would have probably would have wanted to, probably Shannon and I, to take her to dinner to, just have that, moment because of the way, So I don't know, but we'll save that for another year. All right, now we'll know, and we'll enjoy this last year.
How soon after finding out did you send out the tweet that the Cats just got better tweet?
I think it was about 18 minutes. I think it was about 18 minutes. That's probably accurate. Yeah, that's probably accurate. We had talked a little bit about it, that, if she was going to make the decision, if she knew, now'd be a good time. A lot of eyes on women's basketball. Let's be honest. It was a great day to do it, right? A lot of eyes on women's basketball, a lot of eyes, for attention. And we had talked about that. Now, if she had have said, I'm not quite ready to make the decision, then we talked about that as well. And obviously, she had maybe a week earlier kind of gotten to the point where she was getting closer to that. And so, it just ended up being, I did not expect it to necessarily be on Sunday. I thought we might need to have one more, but certainly for us, you mentioned the portal earlier. The earlier the better for us, because that gives some clarity to these discussions with players in the portal. It gives some clarity to us going forward, and that's a positive.
Anything else?
All right, guys, thank you. Bram, good job. Solid.